everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. I'm so excited today. We have a very special guest that is going to help me to preview the random movies of March. That's what I'm going to call this because it's not Spring Fever. It's just a bunch of movies in March. And I'm Rachel, and my guest here is Marisa Serafini. So fun to have you on the podcast again.
Hello, Rachel. Thanks for asking me back. I love being on your show, and I love listening to your show, so I'm happy to be here.
Well, we love having you. It's so much fun. And we're got a lot of exciting things right now with When Calls the Heart starting up, and we just finished Valentine's and the February movies, and a lot of exciting things in the world of Hallmark. And how are things for you?
Oh, yeah, I'm going great. We just started our When Calls the Heart after show again. To not to put a timestamp on this particular show, but we just did the first episode yesterday because new season just started, and I'm really excited to see what happens in season 6. So
yeah,
that's really going on for the Hallmark podcasting role for me right now.
Are you looking forward to our new dudes in Hope Valley, our new guys?
I am. I just hope that they don't cause a lot of trouble because we know the history of the show. Any new guy, not always, but the majority of the time, any new guys that come to town, there's always something up their sleeves. So
it's true.
We'll see what they bring to the show.
Right. Yes. I mean, at least they're both extremely dreamy. I think both Chris McNally.
I know. I mean, they're not hard on the eyes, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin McGarry has to have the most blue eyes in the history of existence. Like,
I know.
I mean,
I was at HFR for a few months ago back in Vancouver. I was in the same room with him, and there was a moment I was like right next to him. I'm like, "Hello, blue eyes."
Yeah, you're like, "Are you real? I have his real eyes."
I thought the same thing too, and then I realized I was slightly staring. I was like, "Okay, that's awkward."
Yeah, and Chris McNally, I've been a big fan of his ever since I first saw him in not Road to Christmas, Rocky Mountain Christmas. He played Lindy Booth's brother, and I just thought he was so dreamy in that movie. I was like,
yeah,
that's part of the movie.
Definitely dreamy.
Who needs Christopher Polaha? We have Chris McNally right there. But no, I've really been a fan of his, and I'm excited. I actually haven't watched the premiere yet. I'm behind.
What?
But I know it's shocking. But yeah, we are going to have our premiere coverage with Ruth Hill that will be airing, and we're real excited about that. So I need to get with it, basically.
Oh, fun. Tell Ruth I said hi. Actually, we were next to each other. We were at HFR for the weekend. We literally sat right next to each other at the table. We were at the same table. Yeah. So we were table mates.
Cool. Yeah, I will.
The whole weekend.
Yeah. So my original plan was that I just assumed, like a normal human being, that the beginning of Spring Fever would start after the February movies were over, and it would be the first movie in March. And so I thought that this would be perfect for us to record the Spring Fever preview. But then things had to become more complicated because it turns out they're not actually starting the spring preview until the third week of March, which will be the 16th, and that's the Flip the Romance or whatever movie. And then there's going to be, I think, 4 or 5 movies that are Spring Fever, but like they don't have the Spring Fever preview show until the 8th or the 9th. So I'm like, we can't really do our preview show until they do their preview show, because they could change it all up and decide not to do. Anyway, it got extremely complicated. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so
come on, Hallmark.
I know. So I'm like, should I just bag the whole thing? And I'm like, no, I really want to talk to Marisa. This is going to be fun. And I want to preview these movies, even if Hallmark doesn't. And
right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 2 Hallmark Channel movies that are coming up in the beginning of March. We're going to talk about the 2 mystery shows coming up at the beginning of March. And then we're going to talk about 3 feature films that I felt like were on brand. We're going to talk about the three feature films that I felt like were enough on brand that they might be interesting to Hallmark viewers, and that would be fun because that's something we did last month for the February for the Valentine's Day preview. Is we previewed Isn't It Romantic and What Men Want. So we're gonna do 3 of them this time. It's gonna be really fun.
I still haven't seen Isn't It Romantic. I want to.
Good. It's so good.
I love Rebel Wilson.
Yeah, it's so funny. I laughed and laughed and laughed. I did not like What Men Want, but I did like Isn't It Romantic.
Yeah, I'm not really in for the What Men Want because I'm such a Nancy Meyers fan. And, that's obviously a play off of What Women Want, and that's the one that she wrote.
So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of What Women Want, to be honest. I think that's her big misfire. But yeah, this was just, it had one funny scene with her playing poker with a whole bunch of NBA stars. And those NBA stars were funny. Like, they made me laugh. That was it. Everything else was just shrill and just, she was entitled and she was a brat. And I just, no.
I love NBA. A lot of people don't know this, but like legitimately, I was watching the game like an hour before I came here. I came back to my place, but like I can talk Hallmark for 1 to 2 hours. I can talk NBA all day.
Nice. I love that. Great.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but I don't really, air that out to the public.
Your secret shame, huh?
No, I'm not shameful at all. But the thing is, like, no one wants to talk basketball with me because we won't get anything else done for the rest of the day.
Right.
That's
so
how much
I study. Are you a big Lakers fan, or?
Actually, no. I am a Boston Celtics fan.
Oh, nice.
I know. There's a long story to that, but that's beside the point.
Cool. All right. So what we decided to do for our little ridiculous ranking system that we always have is we decided we have all things involving St. Patrick's Day. And so we have the worst review. I mean, it's not a review, it's just our excitement level. And the one we're not excited at all for is an upset stomach. The the next level is a pinch for good luck, because you get pinched if you don't have a green on. And then we have leprechaun for the next, 4-leaf clover, and a pot of gold. So it's very exciting.
That's one you're the most excited for.
Most excited about. Yes, we are counting down the hours so we get to see this movie. So, all right, you ready?
Yes.
Fun. Okay.
Let's do this.
The first movie, this is on the 2nd, it's coming up this weekend, is Just Add Romance. And so this is when Kelly and Jason, exact opposites, compete on a famed cooking show for the chance at their own restaurant. What will matter more, their culinary careers or their potential love?
And
this stars Megan Fahey. I'm guessing that's how you say her name.
Yeah.
And Luke McFarlane. And it's directed by Terry Ingram, who just recently did Valentine in the Vineyard, which I was not high on, to be honest. But he's done a bunch of stuff for Hallmark.
Yeah, and I recognize the name.
Yeah.
He's done stuff for When Calls the Heart, too.
Oh, okay, I'm sure, yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, and the writer is named Karen Berger, yeah, who has done all of my Heart movies and Christmas at Grand Valley this last season, which would have been during your time at home.
Yep.
But it was pretty decent. It was pretty good. It had a great date. It had one of the best dates I think I've seen in Hallmark.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess originally this movie was called Winner Takes All, and they changed it. And then it has Brittany Wilson, Adrian Neblett, Edwin Perez, and Debs Howard are all Hallmark regulars that are all supporting roles. And it is Megan Fahey's first lead role in a Hallmark movie. And she's only been in one other one, I guess, The Lost Valentine, which is the Hallmark Hall of Fame. But this is her first lead role, so that's pretty exciting for her.
Yeah, good for her.
Yes, and I do have Amber's rankings for each of these.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so since she couldn't be here, she says her response is, "This sounds kind of lame, but
I can hear her say it.
right? But it really depends on the chemistry of the leads. Luke McFarlane is the most charming man in the universe." So she gave it a 3.2, which would mean leprechaun, and basically a leprechaun is her rating. So what about you? What do you think of this idea of the competing chefs on this?
Right, I was kind of thinking leprechaun as well. I am not a cook. You won't find me dead in a kitchen. I say that time and time again. I have perfected an awesome omelet thanks to college, but that is the extent of my cooking. So cooking like doesn't turn me on. I'm not excited for it. And I think also I might just be kind of tired of cooking because we cover like all the cooking shows at AfterBuzz TV too. So I'm just more so overexposed to cooking shows. But I like Luke McFarlane. The whole own your own restaurant, that's a whole storyline we've heard before. But I'm also privy because it takes place in Chicago, so and fellow Illinois person over here. So I'm more excited for Luke McFarlane, and that's about it. So I'll put it somewhere in the middle.
Okay, good. So leprechaun. So yeah, I'm actually a little higher, I guess, than you two, because I really like food and cooking movies, romances that involve like food and cooking in one way or another. They just had Love on the Menu, which I loved in February. I thought that was great. And I liked Cooking with Love last year with Ella Liebert. That was pretty fun. I love, I did on my channel, Rachel's Reviews, I reviewed No Reservations and Mostly Martha, which No Reservations is a remake of Mostly Martha. Both those movies are great. Food. They're great movies about chefs. I love Recipe for Love. It's one of my all-time favorite Hallmark movies.
I think the one that I like the most about cooking is A Taste of Romance.
Yes, that one's great too.
Harry Pillow and a very, very young Bailey Madison.
Yes, that, and when she cries in that movie.
Oh, so good.
It's done. I'm done. I do agree though that I think that it does depend a lot on the chemistry. Since obviously it's our first time seeing her as a lead in a Hallmark movie. That's a little bit of a wild card, but I kind of feel like Luke McFarlane can like elevate.
Yeah, or at least carry her.
Yeah, I think so. And I've never seen him to have bad chemistry with anybody. And so I'm going to go ahead and give this a 4-leaf clover.
Okay.
I'm really hopeful. I mean, it does make me a little nervous that like Hallmark is just dumping this and like in like no season at all and just like blah. So
we'll put it here.
I hope. Yeah. So I don't know, that makes me a little nervous, but I'm hopeful that it'll be fun. I really am. So all right. So now we have on the 9th, this is our second seasonless movie called Love Under the Rainbow. And the interesting thing about this movie is it was filmed way last year in 2018 in March.
Oh, wow.
So they've been sitting on this for a long time. And what was also weird is like around July or August, the Mara Vista, who made it, put out a trailer, which was weird. I mean, I guess the trailer must have just been from Canada, as I'm guessing.
Right.
That they released it in Canada. But I don't know, it was just kind of strange to have a trailer for a Hallmark movie that last summer that now is just finally coming out on Hallmark Channel. But anyway, it was sort of weird. But the plot for this is that Lucy wasn't sure if she would find true love until Jack moves to town with his daughter, Sophie. Together, they teach her it's never too late to start chasing rainbows. And there's a lot of he's a widower, and I guess he's really reticent to get in another relationship, and but also she's it says here, the longer thing says, Jack, a widower raising 10-year-old Sophie, keeps running into Lucy, her teacher, and soon they're smitten. But whenever their talk gets personal, Jack backs off, and Lucy fears he'll break her heart. And it looks like he might, especially after Sophie runs into Jack's arms, sobbing after a field trip chasing rainbows. Explaining that Sophie's mom used to love rainbows, Jack tells Lucy he's decided to accept a job in Miami, that's a terrible idea. Everybody goes to Miami. He can't risk trying to replace Sophie's mother, but hopefully he'll realize you can't get a rainbow without a little rain. That's so cheesy.
Oh, the description is so painfully Hallmark.
Yeah, and that true love can weather any storm.
Aw, of course it can.
It's really good. It has Jodie Sweetin, David Hayden Jones, Brendan Zub, Peter Benson, and it's written by Kirsten Hansen, who wrote a lot of Chesapeake Shores.
Chesapeake Shores, yeah.
Yes.
Kirsten's great. She's been on our show a couple times.
Yeah. So and she did Love on the Slopes.
On the Slopes, yeah.
Wasn't a big fan of Chesapeake Shores, but I did like Love on the Slopes quite a bit. So yeah, it has a new director for Hallmark. Tony Dean Smith is his name. And it also has Dakota Guppy and Mark Brandon, who are both in Hallmark movies. But yeah, it has Peter Benson and Brendan Zub, who we've interviewed both of them. So that they're great. But this one definitely will be a little bit more of a tearjerker with this widower.
It seems like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was watching the trailer, and I was just surprised it had a full 2-minute, 25-second trailer.
Right. Yeah.
And like you showed the whole movie in 2.5 minutes. I mean, but granted, it's Hallmark. The formula is pretty already set. We kind of know the outcome.
Yeah.
But I like the meet cute that we saw. The like, of course, coffee shop, but watching it kind of made me. It seemed a little reminiscent of Cookie Cutter Christmas, which David Hayden Jones was also in, and the whole teacher relationship, with Aaron Krakow in that movie, and the daughter is students also in the same class. It feels very heartfelt. It probably would. I could see it on Hallmark movies and mysteries,
Yeah.
Or just drama, because they're splitting it all.
I can see that. And yeah, it was about David Hayden Jones. He always plays widowers. So
yeah, what's up with that?
So you just supposed to do that. I guess in Bramble House Christmas, he was just his father had died, and so, but he was sort of a widower. But for the most part, he plays very sad, like in Dear Santa. He's
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe like more dramatic is where you can tap into more emotions.
Yeah.
Make it to be true.
Yeah. Do you think that Jodie Sweetin and David Hayden Jones will have good chemistry? What do you think?
I hope so. I love Jodie Sweetin. She can have chemistry with a lot of people. I'm not sure about David Hayden Jones though. And I noticed with just the film scenes, it doesn't seem, and this is totally my opinion, so please don't at me, but I don't feel like I can emotionally connect to his characters a lot. And in all of his films and stuff, I don't think he can get as deep as where I want a character to get to like emotionally connect. So Jodie is totally fine. I'm just questioning if she'll have chemistry with David. I'm more worried about him. But because it was written by Kirsten Hansen, we know it's going to be a very solid story. So I'm rooting for it.
Well, he seems, for some reason, he seems a lot older than her to me, which wouldn't necessarily, it's probably not even true. He's probably not, but that's just what it seems like. But hopefully they'll have good chemistry. I really like her. I've liked her, even if I haven't liked the movie all that much. I thought that she was good in pretty much all her like her Christmas movie this last year wasn't my favorite, but she was good. She did a good job. She did the best she could in the role. And to be like perfectly frank, I actually like Kirsten Hansen's writing makes me a little concerned because for whatever reason, I just don't super connect with particularly the way that she handles like conflict and emotion. And I particularly did not like Chesapeake Shore's this last season, the way that the conflict in the family was handled, and it really didn't work for me. And I know it worked for a lot of other people, so that's amazing.
Right.
But it just didn't quite work with me.
It's totally fair, and to each other. That's why
Yeah.
we're talking about it, so we have different opinions.
And
too.
I hope that this will be the the one that I will really like hugely. I'm going into it with a completely open mind. I hope I will love it, but that is probably my biggest concern. And I don't know. It's hard to explain in just like without really diving into all the different characters and the way they made me so frustrated. But Amber says this seems a little too sad for me because Amber doesn't like sad stuff, sad movies.
Okay.
So she gives it an upset stomach, which there you go. So she gave it a 1. I because I like Jodie and I like I love Brendan Zub. He's the best. And I love Peter Benson, and David Hyde Jones is fine. I like him just fine. So because of the strong cast, and I think it looks really sweet and heartfelt, I am going to give it a generous leprechaun.
Okay. I'll be a little bit more positive for the both of you because I'm a big fan of Jodie, big fan of Kirsten Hansen. I really liked the trailer. I thought it was really cute. I'm like, yeah sold.
Yeah.
As cheesy as the rainbows look, I'm all for it. So, and like I do like a good movie that'll tug at the heartstrings too. Yeah. So I'll give it a 4-leaf clover.
All right, good. Okay, so now we have. We're going to talk about the mysteries. So, have you had a chance to watch either of the Chronicle mysteries that have already aired?
No, I haven't. I've been it sounds terrible, but I really haven't watched anything Hallmark lately in the last 2 months. My life has been absolutely insane.
Well, not to be a spoiler alert to our Chronicle Mysteries podcast, but they were kind of disappointing for me. I'm not going to say they're terrible, but I just was disappointed because I felt like the whole concept of her being a podcaster, a true crime podcaster, had so much potential to use all the elements of a podcast to help make the mystery more interesting. Like you could have all these different leads coming in from the callers. You could have her interviewing different people involved on the podcast. You could have there's so many things that you could do with the podcast and preparing for the podcast that could have been really good. But unfortunately, I feel like in both the ones that have aired so far, they have hardly talked about the podcast at all. She is basically just a reporter like any other reporter. She even works for the newspaper. And like this last one, I swear there was maybe 2 minutes of her podcasting. Like it was and there was a side of me that was like, that's not how it is. Like you don't like it takes a lot of work to produce a show,
right.
And I don't know, I was just disappointed because I felt like that had such potential to be really fun, and so I am a little bit more down on this than I would be if I hadn't seen those two, but I'm hoping maybe they'll end on like a really great note. But regardless, this is Chronicle Mysteries Vines That Bind, and it's on the 3rd, so this upcoming Sunday. And the summary is the latest edition of Alex McPherson's true crime podcast leads her and the Chronicle staff, so that's the newspaper she works for, to nearby Macon, where they investigate a death ruled as an accident by the local police. Before Alex can get to the bottom of what she feels was a murder, another member of the family is is felled by a bullet, or sorry, felled. What's felled? She and her colleagues soon amass a formidable roster of suspects, all of whom had the motive and opportunity to commit the crimes. So this
Dun, dun,
stars
dun.
Allison Sweeney, Benjamin Ayres, Rebecca Staub, and Karen Holness. And so, yes, it's directed by David Weaver. He's done a bunch, including 2 of the Wedding March movies and Operation Christmas. He has the writers Craig Wenman and Melissa Sammons, who have done a bunch of mysteries, and Melissa's the one who worked with Allison on all of these and other projects. And it was originally called Deadly Vines instead of Vines That Bind, which I think is a bit of a downgrade.
Vines that bind.
Yes. And so it was filmed in Vancouver, and it's our third of this Chronicle Mysteries. And so Amber, she says in her thing, she says, I don't love that they are investigating a current case. Cold cases, please. Which is, I think, a pretty good point. Because that was sort of the whole idea, is that that's what true crime podcasts do.
Yeah.
Is they dive into a cold case and try to, figure out justice. And
is it kind of like along the lines of Serial and all the ones that followed?
that was what I was pitched, but I don't feel like that's what we've gotten.
Okay.
So hopefully this one will actually maybe give us that. It sounds like they are going to a current case, which does sound a little bit less interesting. But Amber continues on. She says, but it has Toby Levins. She says justice for Craig. And if you follow the podcast, you know what that means, because he played a character named Craig who Amber was very upset didn't get a love match in the end. But so I'm sure I'll love it. It has Toby Levins, so I'm sure I'll love it. Justice for Craig. And so she gives this a Leprechaun 3 out of 5. And so she's pretty optimistic about it. And it's a tough one for me, but I don't know. What do you think about this whole idea of this podcaster investigating the case?
So I literally, because I have it in my notes for this investigative podcast. Ugh. It might just be, and sorry, I'm gonna sound like a terrible person, but podcasting, I'm just so, because it is my job. Multiple networks with so many podcasting, I might just be like tired of podcasts, or like someone is like, if you're gonna do a podcast show, like literally run it by me, because I've seen every possible thing. And so it might just be me personally tired of podcasting, because it doesn't seem original anymore.
Oh, interesting.
And honestly, it doesn't seem fun. I mean, it could be like well done if it's like anything along the Serial, element, but I don't think it is. I mean, it is, no offense to Hallmark, but they're not going to go full into just the podcast itself. So podcast ironically turns me off for that. But it does seem like she injects herself into the mysteries where she shouldn't, which is very reminiscent of her character back in Murder, She Baked.
Right.
And are we going to get any more of those? I'd rather see a Murder, She Baked film than this Chronicles Mysteries.
We're not. But like, I feel like it could. I feel like her character in Murder, She Baked is more interesting, because it's like somebody who's not even supposed to be injecting themselves at all. Whereas this, she's like a reporter. Literally in the last movie, she became the editor of the Chronicle. The editor. I'm like, that's not a podcaster. Like, I'm going to give this one, because it is a old case. Like, I mean, it is a new case. I'm going to give this one, I don't know. I'm really not that excited about it. So I'm going to give this one an upset stomach.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, terrible.
No, I'm not really excited about it either. The only thing that still intrigues me is that it's a mystery case, and I like mysteries. Yeah. So I'm more just open to the case that she's eventually going to solve. Yeah. And I think that'll be fun to watch, and that'll keep me invested. So I'll give it a pinch of good luck.
Very good. Okay, good. So All right. Then next is the new series. This is a pilot for the new series called the Crossword Mysteries. And this one's called A Puzzle to Die For. And this is a new series that's a brilliant crossword puzzle editor, played by Lacey Chabert, finds her life turned upside down when she is pulled into a police investigation after several of the clues in her recent puzzles are linked to unsolved crimes. Proving her innocence means leaving the comfort of her sheltered world and working with a tough police detective, played by Brennan Elliott, puzzling through clues together in order to crack the case as the two are fish out of water in each other's worlds. Now, one interesting thing about
I have so many thoughts about this.
I know. One interesting thing about this whole series is that it was that Will Shortz, who writes the New York Times crossword puzzle, or is the editor of the crossword puzzle, was involved as I'm not sure if he was a producer or a writer or whatever, but anyway, he's involved. And so that is pretty fun. He seems like a fun guy. I've seen him.
So there's credibility there.
Yes. And I do agree, though. Amber says in her thing, she says, I like Lacey Chabert and Brennan Elliott. I like that this means we'll not likely have to slog through another All of My Heart movie. So you know what she thinks about those. She says, but I think the premise is fun for a standalone. I don't see how this is sustainable as a series. Honestly, how much crypto crime is there in this world? But I expect the first movie will be great. So she gives it a 4-leaf clover.
Okay. All right. I'm actually very excited for this one because the trailer, which I think is like the shortest out of all the preview trailers that, we both saw to review all these, it's like 30 seconds, if that.
Yeah.
And literally the trailer showed nothing but them two having fun together.
Right. It's just like behind the scenes.
Because they've done so many movies and stuff together now, people are just excited to see them together. They're all for it. I'm also for it. Like, legitimately, I wouldn't know what the movie was about until you read that description. I'm like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because people only see them two together and like, yeah, sold. People are all for it, and so am I. So
they have really good chemistry together. I actually liked all of My Heart movies.
I like them.
The first and the third were my favorites. The first, definitely favorite. Third, second favorite. And then the second, I still liked, even though most people hated it. But Barbara Niven is in this, who's always great.
Yeah, love Barbara. She's fantastic.
Amazing. And yeah, the story is by Will Shortz. So the writing is by Greg Rawson and Brian Sawyer. So they have tons of Hallmark credits. And then it's directed by Don McCutcheon, who did Christmas at Grand Valley and some Good Witch episodes. So he has a
Hallmark
background. So that's interesting. And it's got quite the supporting cast. It's got John Capellos, and he I guess had a role in The Shape of Water, which is kind of fun.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
Oscar-winning film. And says my friend's thing, she says, random fun fact, although this is the only crossword mystery movie that has been filmed thus far, 3 additional crossword movies are scheduled to premiere on the first 3 Sundays in October. So that's the current plan, at least. So
okay.
We'll see how I guess
we'll see how this one does. Let's get through one. Let's not put the cart before the horse, Yeah.
I mean, Amber does make a pretty good point that, like, how many crossword puzzle associated crimes can you come up with? But I guess they'll have to cross that bridge when they come to it. But it does seem like but my guess is that she'll just be kind of this will set her up as a consultant that kind of works with them, and then the crossword part of it will be kind of minimal, I would think. It would have to be.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I'm excited. I'm a big fan of the cast, Lacey, Brennan, Barbara. you know that the chemistry is already there and it's going to be fun no matter what they're,
Yeah.
you know, doing in the movie. People can just sit them, like watch them, sit them, stare at each other, and we'd still watch them for 2 hours and call it a movie. So I
So
don't know. For some reason, I'm really excited for this one.
I am too. I am too. I think it's definitely I'm going to give it a pot of gold just because I think it's the one of these four that sounds the most promising.
Yeah.
So,
Same.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Okay. So we thought it'd be fun to cover some feature films that you can see in March because we have some extra time. So the first one we're going to talk about is in the spirit of mysteries. We're going to talk about Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase. So this is based on the second Nancy Drew book. It comes out on the 15th of March, and it's feeling a bit of an outsider struggling to fit into her new surroundings. Nancy and her pals set out to solve a mystery, make new friends, and establish their place in the community. And this stars Sophia Lillis, Laura Wiggins, and Andrea Anders. And so this girl, Sophia Lillis, looks exactly like a young Amy Adams. It's uncanny. If they ever, to me at least, if they ever need someone to play young Amy Adams, like, that is the person to hire. I don't know. She looks so much like her to me. But I always thought of Nancy Drew as having blonde hair. I never thought of her as having red hair.
Well, you know what's funny is actually Sophia Lillis played the younger version, I believe, of Amy Adams in Sharp Objects.
Oh, she did?
If I'm correct.
Exactly like her. It's crazy.
Yeah, like people can call me out if I'm wrong, and like I'll eat crow, but I'm pretty sure she played the younger version of Camille.
Oh, interesting. I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, we covered it at AfterBuzz, so that's I know a little bit about it.
So, did you grow up reading Nancy Drew?
Actually didn't. I grew up more so reading Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie, but for some reason I never had the Nancy Drew books. But I know of it, and I know like some premises of some of the books, but I never actually sat down and so I was looking up a little bit of the second book, the Hidden Staircase.
Yeah.
But like, and I know like already the main details of the original for years, and because those books came out in like 30s to the 50s. And I'm not sure about this movie because it just seems like so modernized, and it doesn't need to be to hit an audience. You can still do a time period film and still resonate with the young girls of this generation now. So the whole modernization is really concerning for me.
Yeah, so I'm looking at some of I guess it was originally written in 1930, as you said, and then they revised it in 1959. So they had a second kind of edition that came out. But maybe I'm just wrong, because it does kind of look like she has a little bit of at least a strawberry blonde, kind of a tin and red in the cover, the old cover of the book. And so, but for some reason, I always just think blonde when I think of Nancy Drew. So it kind of caught me off guard when I first saw her as a redhead. But it doesn't matter. Who cares what color her hair is? But you're right about the Sharp Objects. She does play the.
Okay, good.
You nailed it. I thought it looked sweet enough. You're right. They have modernized it. They'll probably have her saying like there'll be some like cool hip things or whatever. But
she's more tomboyish too, and not that that's a bad thing whatsoever. It's just like I don't know what audience they're trying to appeal to.
I think they're probably trying to appeal to like the same people who would be interested in like the Wimpy Kid movie.
I never watched those.
That kind of your kind of 11 to maybe more like 9 to 12, kind of the same people who same age group who likes like the Disney Channel, like the Descendants, people, really into
like the Z generation.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Not even millennial, but the Z generation.
Yeah. And I thought it looked
God,
sweet.
we're getting old.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I'm not that old, I swear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna go see it, and I think it looks like it could be real cute to me, charming. I'm hopeful for it. I'm hopeful I'll like it. I am going to give it a 4-leaf clover. I hope it'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go like completely opposite end of the spectrum, and I'm gonna say an upset stomach because
Oh, okay.
honestly, I was not sold watching
The trailer.
the trailer.
Okay.
Not one bit.
Okay, good. All right. Then on the 8th, we have a to kind of other end of the spectrum, we have a very independent film coming out called Gloria Bell. And this movie stars Julianne Moore, and she plays a free-spirited divorcee who spends her nights on the dance floor, joyfully letting loose at clubs around Los Angeles. She soon finds herself thrust into an unexpected new romance filled with the joys of budding love and the complications of dating. Now, this movie is rated R, so it won't be for all of our audience.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of interesting because it currently, because it aired at Sundance, and it feels very Sundancey, the trailer is very like indie and whatever.
Did you see it at Sundance?
No, I did not. It was last year at Sundance, and I didn't see it.
Oh, last year.
But anyway, it has 100% right now, but only 14 reviews. But it's a remake of a Chilean film called Gloria, and that is directed by the same director as directing this. So he did both this and the remake. And the original Chilean film has 99% with 125 reviews.
Oh, I'm sorry. That just played on my computer.
Oh, it's great. So anyway, that's encouraging that it could be good if the same director that did this exact same story with it got 99% approval, 125 reviews in the Chilean version, and it already has 100% with 14 reviews. It's like a good sign that it's a good movie. And it has Sean Astin, Jean Triplehorn, Michael Cera, John Turturro, Brad Garrett, Rita Wilson. So great cast. And Julianne
Moore.
Yeah, Julianne Moore's amazing. So I don't know. What do you think about this one?
I love the cast. They're all, amazing actors in and of themselves. When you said that whole thing of it's the same director doing it, and I'm like, what did you not get and succeed out of your first one that makes you want to redo the exact movie in English? It just makes me question, like, did you believe in your first one first? Like, did that not fulfill you in some way? So
my guess is that it wasn't him who wanted to make it again. My guess is that the studio was like, oh, we have a hit here, but nobody's going to watch this film with subtitles, so we have to make it for an English audience with an English cast, which is a real shame. But they do that all the time. They're doing a Man called Ove. They're making I think with Tom Hanks. And that was originally a Swedish film based on a great book. I love the book by Friedrich Beckmann. And but people, I guess, aren't going to watch the Swedish version because it's got subtitles. I don't know. But there's that feeling in Hollywood that you got to remake. I mean, like what I talked about with Mostly Martha and No Reservations. They're literally identical movies. They have the exact same speech about quail at the beginning of the movie. They have
that happens a lot. Like the Upside that just came out in January.
Yeah, another example
was the Untouchables in French. So, like, it's really unfortunate that Hollywood feels like they have to redo what's like already good, well-made films. But it's Hollywood.
Yeah, like, so I wouldn't blame the director on this. I would blame Hollywood on it.
Okay,
but
that's fair.
It is kind of, in a way, it's kind of reassuring. That's like, well, if he made it good once, you can make it good the second time, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully.
I don't know. It's kind of weird, but Amber, she says Julianne Moore is great, but this doesn't seem like an Amber movie. So she gave it a 1.5. So
Oh,
episode's
wow.
like and a half. But I think it looks pretty fun. I'm gonna watch the original before because I feel like I need to see the correct version, and then I'll go see this. And I feel like just for Julianne Moore's performance alone, and it's got such a great supporting cast, I am going to give it a. I'm going to give it a 4-leaf clover. I'm being really optimistic today, I guess, for these.
No, that's good.
films. I hope it'll be good.
I'll give it a Leprechaun only because this seems like a passion film for Julianne Moore. I've seen her, I saw Still Alice. I've seen better roles for her.
Uh-huh.
And so granted, I haven't seen the film yet, but I just based on the trailer, which I know is an unfortunate judgment, I just feel like this is not going to be on par with other stuff that she's already done.
Yeah.
So I'm not too excited because I know she's done better already. So I'm going to give it a Leprechaun.
Okay, that's good. Would you watch the original, or are you kind of like, I don't really like foreign films?
I would watch the original if there's English subtitles.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there is. It's available on Amazon. I checked. I was actually looking today, and you can watch it on Amazon.
Oh, cool. I'll have Amazon. Yeah. Maybe I'll put it in my queue to watch it then.
Okay, last one is 5 Feet Apart. This comes out on the 15th. It's based on the popular novel, I guess, and it's 17-year-old Stella spends most of her time in the hospital as a cystic fibrosis patient. Her life is full of routines, boundaries, and self-control, all of which get put to the test when she meets Will, an impossibly charming teen who has the same illness. There's an instant flirtation, though restrictions dictate that they must maintain a safe distance between them. As their connection intensifies, so does the temptation to throw the rules out the window and embrace the attraction. So this stars Haley Lou Richardson, who was just in Support the Girls this last year, and she was very good in that, and Cole Sprouse, who I know I've seen in a bunch of stuff. But and what was interesting, I mean, this does not look like something I would like. I actually one of the rare people who didn't like Fault in Our Stars. I
didn't like it either.
Oh, wow.
That movie's like so up my alley too, but like I went in, I'm like, oh, okay.
I felt like it was very heavy-handed and very over the head, especially that professor, the writer. Oh, I was just like, I don't know. It was really,
he was not the best man.
No, he was the worst, and I just felt like it was inauthentic to me that anyone would behave that way to kids with cancer. Like, I just don't believe that anyone would be that. Like, it was over the top to me, and it just took me out of the movie and made me really mad. And I just didn't love it. And a lot of other people love it, and that's awesome. So I wasn't that excited when I read this and I hated Me Before You. I thought that movie was garbage. And
I actually liked that one way more than Fault in Our Stars.
I just didn't like the whole message of this guy like living boldly, but he's killing himself. Like, I felt like, I don't know, I had issues with it that I didn't feel like the screenplay or the book. I actually hated the book too. But,
I didn't read the book.
The book was terrible. But anyway, so I when I just read it, I was like, ugh, it sounds more like those things I don't like. And but what was interesting is I watched this video of a guy with cystic fibrosis.
I watched it too.
You watched that? Yeah, it was
really
I watched it interesting. Too. So he was doing a trailer reaction of the trailer, and he was very positive about it. He was like, they got all the medical stuff. It looks like they've got right. It looks like it's gonna make me cry. It looks like it's gonna be pretty well done. And he was like very excited about it. And he was talking about little details like the ports they have to wear and the different stuff that he's like, they never get those things right, and they've got it right. And so that made me kind of more interested. If someone like him, was excited about it, like, that made me more interested than I would have otherwise been just by the trailer.
Right. I'm actually really excited for the film because I saw the trailer for the first time actually in the movie theaters. And I was, kind of sucked in. That teenage girl in me was like, ooh, let's watch this,
Yeah.
And as I keep watching this trailer, because I've seen it probably about like 5 times now, Haley Lu reminds me of a younger version of Emilia Clarke, just a little bit.
Yeah, I
Like
can see
the
that.
facial
Yeah.
expressions and stuff, that there's just some like mannerisms and just nuances that remind me of Emilia Clarke.
Uh-huh.
Um, Also, from Me Before You. And but the whole premise reminds me of the Grey's Anatomy episode, Not Responsible.
Uh-huh.
That's the episode title is season 7, episode 16. I had to look it up to make sure I was correct. But it's the exact same premise too. But in that episode, there was a couple, both had cystic fibrosis, and they couldn't be with each other because it was jeopardizing the ability to get new lungs. So I'm like, this is the exact same story in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the storyline, not original, but I am for a good emotional ride, and I'm actually pretty excited for this one.
I did like Everything that's kind of in this same sort of camp a little bit. I liked that one. That one worked for me. But yeah, Amber says the most dramatic young love movie of all time, and therefore not for Amber. So she gives it an upset stomach. So
Ooh.
she's pretty down on all of these. Oh, I forgot to say her and Nancy Drew. She says, "Where is Ned?" And she gives it a pinch. She gives it a 2. So I forgot to say her score on that.
Oh, a 2.
Yeah, I know. So what would you rate this one? Is your excitement level?
I'm actually pretty excited. So I'm like debating, only because, I also did watch that cystic fibrosis patient who had the real-time reaction to it. And he was talking about the actual medical accuracies about it, which made me even more excited for it. So I don't know. I'm in between 4-leaf clover and pot of gold. 4-leaf clover, maybe only because I know it's going to be a painful teenage coming of age kind of film, which we've all seen. And it doesn't seem original, but I'm all for this movie just to watch it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, his reaction really did make me more interested in the film. So I'm going to give it a Leprechaun, despite my reservations. I hope it'll be a good little weepy. I like a good emotional romance, so hopefully that'll be fun. So yeah, so some stuff to look forward to coming up this month. Definitely, if you all are listening, let us know what you're excited for and what ratings you would give, and I'll put the links down to those trailers, so if you want to watch. But before we go, I thought it would be fun to give you what we call the Team Beat questions that we do, and that Amber found on a issue of Team Beat. And
that's so funny because I have a friend whose brother was part of Team Beat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, there's
small world we live in.
Silly question. So here we go. What is the best ice cream flavor?
For me personally?
Yes.
Ooh. I'd have to say Moose Tracks.
Yeah, that's a good choice. All right, what's your favorite color?
Ooh, I'm going burgundy red.
Nice. Good. That's very on brand for Hallmark.
Yeah.
What music are you listening to right now? Are you into?
I always listen to country and 90s R&B in my car, or anything like 90s pop. Those are the 3 main genres that's on painful cyclical rotation in my car.
Cool. Good. Okay. What is your go-to date night food?
Anything big and unhealthy and cheesy. I love cheese. I love cheese so much.
Yeah. Good. So nachos would be your
right, because this sounds terrible, but it is very true. I do intermittent fasting, not because by choice, but because my schedule is so awful that I only eat once a day. And so when I eat, I make it count.
Right. I sometimes get in that habit too, because I'll just have so much going on in the morning because I work with people out east. And so a lot of the stuff we do is in the morning, and so I won't have I'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna check my email before I go get breakfast, and then by the time I'm finished it's like 1:30. I'm like, okay. But anyway, so okay, what's your favorite go-to date night activity to go out and do?
Usually go to the movies because I'm a film major, so that's always like a safe given.
Yeah.
Or if not, I like to go to our favorite stores and just pretty much window shop.
Yeah, that sounds fun to me, especially like Christmas.
It is.
So dogs or cats?
Dogs, for sure.
Okay, beaches or mountains?
Beaches.
Very good, me too. Fancy dress or sweats?
Sweats, absolutely. You wouldn't find me dead in a dress.
Okay, good. Favorite holiday?
Ooh, I'm a summer person, but I do love Christmas because I actually get to see my friends and family.
Yeah. It's hard to beat Christmas.
Yeah, it's the only time I actually see my friends and family.
Yeah. All right, last question. It's very difficult. Favorite Hallmark movie?
Oh, that's Sophie's choice.
I know, it's tough.
Oh, I'd probably the Bridge part 1 and 2.
Okay, good.
Can I marry them to and put them, consider that as one?
Make them a combined answer.
I always go back to the Bridge.
Very good. Great. Well, you passed the test.
Whew. Good.
But thank you so much for doing this. This was a lot of fun. Some eclectic stuff to talk about, and I had a really good time talking about these with you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking me. I love movies. I love Hallmark. So
definitely have to have you on again soon. And tell people, where can they find you online, social media and all?
Everyone can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Serafini TV. That's SERAFINI TV. And then I'm not big on Facebook whatsoever. I mean, I'm there. You could probably find me. I might not get back to you because I swear, and this is what I always tell people, I'm not avoiding you, I'm avoiding Facebook.
Right.
So, that's not a good place to find me. But Instagram and Twitter at Serafini TV.
Okay, great. Well, we'll have that all in the description section. You can check that out. And yeah, you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and YouTube. So please look at that. And if you make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, we really appreciate your ratings and reviews. And if you are listening on YouTube, if you can like and subscribe the video, we really appreciate that, to the channel. And thanks so much, Marissa. This was so much fun, and we will definitely talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Always fun talking to you.
Enjoy the March movies, guys. Bye.
Bye.